Welcome to That Didn't work.
That didn't work.
Welcome to Urban Stars. I'm your GM and your host, Percy.
And I'm Mike, and I'm playing a Nemoidian by the name of Udel Gets.
I'm Daniel. I'm playing a human by the name of Caltane.
Howdy, I'm Rick, and I'll be playing a Verpine named Click.
And I'm Jason, playing a human named Lucia, also known as Zerial Benassi Dinduptaniel.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Urban Stars. When last we left off, the crew of the Starship Enema, aka the Rusty Sea Bucket, aka, what's the other one?
The Shameless Plug.
The Shameless Plug.
Shameless Plug, yes.
There it is. It's been that long since we recorded this.
It hadn't been that long.
2 weeks.
The last 20 minutes took it all out of us, you know.
Absolutely true. Last time, in the last episode, we really mostly saw Lucia and Click. You guys and your antics on Terrace. We didn't see much of Udel in the last couple of episodes because he was being made more machine than man at the time. We'll see actually kind of how he played out
6 million credits worth.
later on.
Ooh, he's a 6 million credit man.
6 million credit man. Well,
So there's a
6
joke.
million credit Nemoidian.
There's a joke that I could insert here, but it's definitely going to have to be edited, so we'll just wait.
Yeah.
And I could have made a joke about your joke right there that would have had to been edited.
Alrighty then.
Fellas, what?
I hope y'all are ready for the ride tonight.
That's what she said.
We got one in. We got it. That's what she said.
what she said.
We did. We found one. We got it. Now it's a podcast. We weren't sure before.
We haven't talked about poop, but we just did, so we're good.
We said poop.
All right.
We said it. We said the word. Anyway, so Kuklik made a friend inside of a giant robot who turned out to not be so friendly. Once Kuklik escaped, he found out that the robot actually belonged to the person eating raw animal, and is now with Igor and Dantoon on the way to Dantoon's home at the behest of his absurdly annoying father, who, Dantoon's an adult, so it's kind of like, really cramping the style there a little bit. Meanwhile, Udel was still with another being here on Rakata Prime, being rebuilt and retrained as something else entirely, and we'll visit what that kind of means when we get to your scenes. And I know it's been a couple episodes, but when we last saw Cal, he was reintroduced to the rest of the Resistance on Terrace after having his eye exploded and fixed. And when he went back into the caverns, he found that not only had they found some sort of at least temporary power source for those caverns, but there were hundreds of people as opposed to 30. The Resistance has grown quite a bit in you guys' absence. 2 years and nobody joined, and as soon as you guys leave, spikes way up.
Just left a vacuum that had to be filled.
That's right, and they needed 200 people to fill it.
Absolutely.
We were holding them back.
You were.
Yeah. It takes that to take one Verpine, you know.
That's right. Well, there are still 2 Verpine there.
That's true.
Neither of them are Kuklik, so,
Yeah, absolutely.
So, man, which thread do you guys want to follow first?
Well, considering we're all separate, I guess a coin flip works, but there's not a 3-sided coin, so...
No, that's true, but you spoke first, so we'll go to Lucia.
Alrighty.
Lucia, you were last seen in a giant warehouse for starships, and you attempted to hail Kuklik right before another being, a green-skinned, what we know as, like, listeners and players as a Rakatan. Lucia doesn't know that yet. She hasn't had any actual encounters with any.
Have no idea, or...
She has not even seen them yet. This is her first time witnessing a Rakatan.
Yarp.
So it's a very, very strange and alien thing for you.
Mm-hmm.
However, you did just try to hail Kuklik. Kuklik, how do you respond?
Lucia, is that you?
And with that, I am going to roll a perception check for this Rakatan to see if he hears before you can turn down the comm. even though it is in your ear, of course.
And I had gone into stealth anyway, so I probably would have done that, but sure.
Well, maybe not. It was just kind of very sudden. So I am going to have you roll a stealth check against their
And
perception.
actually, it would be my antenna, so it really wouldn't be my voice talking. So it would be kind of like my brain. Is that how that would work?
Well, I don't think
It would still have to transmit noise for...
Yeah.
Right. Hey, look here!
Your brain is cheech.
I don't know. It sounds a bit chong to me.
Your brain's a little chongy.
It is a little chongy tonight. Yeah, man.
All right, I expect you to talk like that in the radio noise for the rest of the time.
Good luck remembering that.
I can do that.
So, wait a minute. Do I need to roll...
So no difficulty. It's an opposed check, so you just roll your positive dice and we'll compare successful results.
A triumph, 5 advantage, and 2 success.
Okay, he got 5 successes and 1 advantage. So he will hear it before you're able to turn it down. But what do you want your triumph to be? He does look directly in your direction. He has not seen you yet.
Okay, that's what I was gonna.
Yeah, he heard a noise. He didn't even hear like what Kuklik said. He just heard a noise over in your direction, and so he's coming to check it out.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say about both the 5 advantage and the triumph.
Okay.
I don't know how you want to measure the advantage, but that is.
Let's do the triumph first.
Okay. Since this is a factory and a fairly barren, even though there's a starship, it's what is it, Durasteel or whatever they call it? I forget what it.
It's probably something else entirely.
Right, but
because you're just on the alien world. That's what you assume it is, though.
Right, but just thinking.
Safe to say.
Yeah, standard Star Wars tech here.
Yeah.
It's quite echoey and kind
Yes.
of. So it doesn't. He can't like pinpoint me. It just sounds like random noise that he can't. Sure, he might look in my direction, and I think I'm got, but I don't have any. Well, I mean, there was.
Sure,
no
I think the advantage are enough to take care of that.
Okay.
For sure. The triumph, though, I mean, you can introduce like story points with the triumph. You can do. I know usually I try to hold you guys to like have the triumph have something to do with what you're doing.
Which is why I kind of went with the.
Sure.
It's going to be like an echo chamber in here. He can't pinpoint location.
But I think because the real root of the check, like, yes, you're using the stealth skill, but the root of the check is to outsmart the person that's in the room. I think the triumph can have something in general to do with that.
Okay. Ooh. Like our friend Udel recently was.
You get cut in the face.
No, he, the Rakatan that walked in is blind. Works purely from sound.
Ah, okay. I'm into that, yeah. I'm okay with that. Especially for who this guy is.
Works for me.
Yeah.
I don't really care.
You don't
but
have any idea.
don't matter to me, but I like that I like it, I guess.
Yeah, so this guy walks into the room, hears the calm thing just before you can turn it down. So you've turned it off,
Yeah.
I'm assuming, so there's no contact at all. So click, you don't hear anything back from Lucia, which is kind of how y'all's communication has been back and forth since being on Rakata Prime.
It's been cut off and on periodically.
So it hears and turns its head towards you, and you see that the bulbous eyes look fairly milky. Even from the distance that you're at, you can sense that it's not seeing very well, if at all. In spite of that, it starts walking in your direction, and isn't really kind of skipping any beats, isn't slow to move or anything like that. And as it's moving closer, it kind of reaches out a hand and says, "Is there someone here? This is your chance to speak honestly."
Would it be perception, or would it be, say, discipline to kind of sense his intent? Is he you know how sometimes, especially...
Yeah, I think you would roll perception, I think. And the difficulty is going to be 1 purple and 1 red.
Alrighty. Check this.
It's cocked.
Yeah, but it's cocked in the best way, so I'm gonna take it because why not? So that becomes that. Just for the people out there, it's a despair. It's gonna be fun. We like fun here.
We do like fun here.
So it ends up becoming, 3 successes, 3 advantage, and a despair.
3 success, 3 advantage, and a despair. Okay.
How do we parse that?
I think so. You were rolling. Your difficulty was based on the character's charm. I think your despair is going to be that it gets. You sense that it does not have any sort of direct animosity toward you. Its intent is to discover and perhaps guide whatever's stumbled into its factory. However, it senses from you the automatic kind of fight or flight, the adrenaline, the desire to get out, regardless of the cost, to protect yourself at any cost. Mm-hmm. And it interprets that as violent intent.
Okay.
It doesn't do anything with that knowledge right now, but I think that's a good way to interpret that despair, that it's not going to trust you.
Which is...
Initially.
But I get a feeling of it...
Yeah, make sure you're talking to your mic.
Yeah, I get a feeling that it is... It's here for basically okay intent. It's not going to... Okay. So... To help illustrate that despair, Lucia will kind of have her hand kind of on her sword hilt as she kind of steps out from the shadows and goes, apologies, I'm lost, but can you tell me, A, where we are, and B, what is this place? And again, just helping illustrate that point, he may not want to be honest with me because I do have literally, he may not be able to see it, but he senses that, like I'm prepared to.
Yeah, sure. I think he doesn't approach that with dishonesty. He tells you, we are on Rakata Prime. It's probably somewhere that you don't know. Generally, when I meet Crashlanders, which I'm assuming describes you.
You would be very correct.
Yes, when I meet Crashlanders, they tend to don't know anything about us, and I think based on your reaction now, you are in the same boat.
That would be putting it mildly, considering the day that I've had.
And what kind of day is that?
I wake up to one of our shipmates getting torn apart by a rancor, our ship recrashing into the planet's surface, one of our blind party members going missing, chasing after who knows what, me meeting some sort of, he kind of looked like you, kind of, but he also looked like the friend I was looking for with mouth for eyes. Anyway, long story short, it's been a day.
The blind do have a tendency to find their sight here on Rakata Prime. Perhaps your friend has found this as well.
But with mouths for eyes?
That part is troubling.
I didn't know he could taste his way to vision, but okay. Anyway, never mind.
What is it? What is it you're seeking here?
Lucia thinks back to her dream and kind of starts to not really go trance-like, but just kind of, this isn't the first time in the last few days that this has been a question that she's had to ponder over, and kind of gives a response of, I've been trying to protect those that I love or care about or have any semblance of any sort of relationship with, and they've usually all ended up dead. I want to find a way to not have to face, well, no, because I will have to face that eventuality, but I want to find the strength, the resolve to be able to see things through.
I don't know if that's something that I can offer you. It's kind of an abstract feeling, isn't it? But perhaps my people can help you on your journey.
Perhaps, but right now, my journey has to take me back to my, and I don't know why I'm telling you this, but has to take me back to my father's home planet, where eventually I'm going to have to, well, we're going to have to come to a bittersweet reunion.
I see, so peace is not in your future.
Not by a long shot.
That's troubling.
So is this factory, by the way.
Well, my factory belongs here, you do not.
This is also very true. But, and looking about, she could make a knowledge education roll to maybe know some of the history, because the Infinite Empire would have been in every history book, right?
Oh, no.
No?
No, it's been wiped
Okay.
from any form of knowledge. Like, it was, the knowledge of the Infinite Empire was wiped before the Old Republic had even fully
Okay,
taken
right. Yeah, that's right. Okay, I had forgotten about that. So then it wouldn't be.
So even like remnants of the
Yeah.
knowledge of the Infinite Empire would
Then,
be
yeah, no point in,
absolutely gone.
yeah, it would be a daunting, if not impossible check. So, I'll just then clearly state it. This looks like a factory of war. I didn't. Do you support the Empire?
Oh, we haven't supported the Empire for thousands of years, at least. This is a...
And that's where she's like, wait, what?
yeah. This is sort of a rebuilding. Granted, we aren't able to power most of our machines, and we aren't... It's not an exact replica, but with a little bit of work and perhaps the right tools, we might get her off the ground again.
I see. So who do you then represent? Clearly, if you know that this is Rakata Prime, you must be the erstwhile Rakatans. I thought your race was gone the way Kaklik talked about y'all.
Oh, we are not gone. We are very few. Most of us are hundreds of years old, but we're not gone. And my hope is that we can still offer the galaxy something. Would you like to see?
Well, considering I can't stay here for the rest of my life, sure. Very, very snarky, but princess-like response, like...
Sure. So we'll screen wipe from you, and we'll go to Cal. Cal, you had walked in and you saw familiar faces like George from the shipyard and the imperial representative that Udel had met with, the bureaucrat who had gone humanitarian, along with several hundred other people, as you entered into the caverns that were bare and dark and dim and dreary, and now have light and are full of life. It's not a thing that you really expected. Even if you guys got the fuel cell, you thought this will be still a dark and dreary. This is the underground place that we don't actually want to be at. That was kind of the sense that you probably got. But this place feels like lively. Like there are certain lights throughout the area that make it feel like sunlight. That make it feel like a livable, habitable place. What do you do while you're down there? I guess what are kind of some of your first steps as you walk into this area?
You said George, or who were the other people that were there? That you said
George and the bureaucrat are probably the two, and her name was not Sentry.
It was like Celeste or something like that. It's on my other sheet.
Something like that.
Is Click's brother still there?
Yes. Both Callist and Galak are down here.
I'm gonna actually go over to the closest one. I don't know if they're together or if.
Well, one of them is like an engineer. Callist is an engineer and a researcher. Galak is more of a bodyguard.
Okay, I'll probably get along with more Galak.
All right.
I would go over to Galak and ask him, have you heard anything from the crew since? Like, have we gotten anything back?
He startles because you didn't announce yourself. Of the crew. No, I haven't received any word from my cousin. It seems like their vessel was in some way ejected from the moon.
Well, this mission's not going to stop for them. I was just kind of hoping that, at least some good news would come back.
I will hope alongside you.
And with that, he kind of gives him like a pat on the shoulder and just heads off towards like the bar area. He's waiting for, if someone's going to either approach him for the spy mission for some details, or if he can just try to earn some extra cash in the meantime by taking on a job or something.
Okay, cool. So you sit in the bar for a while, and as far as you know, it could be hours, it could be days. But at some point, you kind of maybe even wake up from a nap, and you hear like the click of a coin on the ground. Like maybe somebody with a heel or a tap, like a piece of steel on their shoe, is kind of walking down one of the hallways.
I guess I'll just look over to wherever the noise is at and see if I can. Do I see them or?
So you look up and you realize you're the only one in the quote bar area. This is still like a resistance base, so it's like this is where we keep all our stolen liquor, and Cal just drank it all.
Only the Carillion whiskey.
That's right. So there's not really a bar per se, but there's just kind of an area with provisions that has some space alcohols, and that's just kind of where you had
Space
camped.
beer.
Space beer. Spear.
Spear, slicker,
Spear and slicker and swisky.
some swine. We got some space wine.
No swine here.
Candy is dandy, but liquor is
There
quicker.
is swine, because
Yeah.
we do have a Gamorrean boss.
That's right. Just tequila.
I'd like some swine with my spam.
And you notice that you're the only one here, and as you kind of peek around the door, there's no one in the hallway, but you can still hear that clicking noise.
Is it like you said? It sounds like someone's walking about. Like if they have a steel toe.
It sounds like a steel toe or like a heavy coin hitting the ground.
Is there any way? Can I roll perception to see if I can try to locate it a bit better?
Yeah. It'll be an easy perception test.
Cool. Perception. Cunning, which is now 3. Ooh, hey. Look at me moving up in the world. There we go. I passed it, but with just 1 success.
All right. Yeah. So you hear it like at first it sounded like it was echoing, and now it sounds like it's kind of like you can pinpoint that it's hitting 10 feet in front of you, and then 10 feet further, and then 10 feet further. So it's not an echo; they're unique clicks.
And they're just going further. Are they going further out of the bar, or like more towards like just
kind of deeper into the caverns? It's like a. You haven't done much personal exploring of it, but it is a city underneath the city.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna do the fun thing and follow the noise.
Okay, I mean you don't have to.
Yeah, but
you can go back in and drink some more. That's fine.
Come on, little boy. Come on.
So you follow the clicking noise for a while, and eventually you do run into a couple of just kind of passers-by, people that you recognize from the Baron's crew. And you maybe speak for just a quick moment, and then you kind of notice that they're not hearing what you're hearing. And you kind of keep following it down the hallways. You pass by several buildings, and when I say buildings, I mean where kind of you would geographically know that the middle city starts. The ceiling above you vaults up. And it's like you can almost see the foundations of parts of the city as you're going, held up by pillars underneath. And so that makes room, of course, for buildings of their own underneath the middle and upper cities. As you continue exploring, you see like there are panels covering the ceiling that make it look like a starry sky outside. You can tell that they're panels, like you can see gaps between them, but it looks, for all intents and purposes, like you're in a paradise city. You follow this noise deeper and deeper into the caverns until you're underneath the upper city. And eventually you walk into a building that you can hear these clicks resonating through. You wander through the hallways there and emerge into a room that has a large Bacta tank, but it's not Bacta. It's a large tank filled with some kind of goo, and it looks like a kind of an oversized embryo. This is like a man-sized like being kind of curled up in a fetal position inside of this tank. And as it turns in the tank, you see the eyes and parts of the facial features of Udel.
No, right?
And we're going to wipe over to Click. Click.
It's a man baby.
Udel is a man baby.
Okay.
Click, you have gone to this kind of tribal area with Igor and Dantun. And as you get there, you see, like, when they said, like, our village and our family, there are 12 people. That's it. In this entire area. So it's Dantun, his father, and 10 others, and 1 droid. And that makes up the entire village.
But I count for 10 people, so...
You do. 10 or more.
Yeah, at least.
Depends on what you're fighting.
So you're saying you're a 10-man?
There's a lot more droids.
I mean, we never said they were working droids. We just said
It's true.
there
Can
are...
we have a bunch of broken droids around the place?
So I can fix them. So
Stop it. I know where you're going. Stop it.
So
Fixing droids is fun.
okay, there's only 10 people, but does this look like part of a city? Is there more ruins, or is it just a little shacks? Is it old buildings?
It's like it's very tribal. Like it's in the forest. It's kind of built into the trees.
So So is it tech or is it more
It's very low tech.
very low tech?
Very low tech.
So, kind of like Kashyyyk in a way, or
Yeah. Only much smaller.
Yeah,
Like the trees aren't as big, but
No, I get that. I'm just trying to help him get a
Sure.
mental picture. So,
Dantoon, this is where you live?
Yeah, what's wrong with it?
Well, nothing.
you don't like my digs?
I've seen more technology around here. Do y'all prefer the primitive life?
We have plenty of technology, points to Igor.
and push comes to shove, and your family doesn't trust tech. They barely let you keep Igor around.
He's like the stray dog that I'm not allowed to have.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, that's why your dad called him your beast earlier. And a lot of that comes from it. And I'm saying this kind of so that player knowledge versus character knowledge.
Okay.
So like, you guys don't know this, but basically after the what's called the Star Forge crashed down to this planet, kind of signifying the final end of the Rakatan Infinite Empire, your family separated from the rest of the Rakatans and said, "This made us evil. We're not doing it anymore."
So why I see the remnants of much technology that could definitely improve your lives down here. Why do you choose not to keep it around and use it? Other than Igor, of course.
Well, our people don't really have a good track record, per se, with technology, if you know what I mean.
No, I'm not sure. I do know what you mean.
I think the easiest way to explain this would just to be that we're a bit skeptical on trusting technology or trusting ourselves with it.
Okay, maybe I do understand a little. My brother talked about the evil that the Rakatan Empire did using their very high technology. So is that what you're talking about?
And he just nods to you.
But my people are very good with technology and using it for good. Perhaps we can help you. How do you fight those giant robots and things?
You usually don't.
Yeah,
Igor does. We always run.
I see. And they leave you alone?
Nobody can hear you.
no, yeah. Well,
No,
he's just kind of shaking his head, and he's just explaining to you that it's just not their way.
So then, there's your group and this other group, and they embrace the technology?
How many groups were there? Was there
So there
two
are
or-
3 groups, but you've only actually seen Rakatans that belong to yours and one other.
Okay.
The
Am I
one-
aware that there's a third group, or
Yeah,
is it-
so the third group are the ones that like run those big machines, but you've never actually seen any of the Rakatans of that group.
until
Just their minions, I
until
guess?
today, basically.
Well, but even
Well,
then,
we
like,
didn't- he
that was a
wasn't a Rakatan.
Togruta.
Yeah.
That was like
Oh,
a Togruta
that's
slave.
that's right. It was Dakruta.
Yeah.
So wait, the ones that we know about are just the ones that run the big robots. We don't know about the other one.
So-
Or,
well, you know about the ones
Mhm.
that run the big robots, but you haven't seen them.
okay.
So,
we-
like, you know they exist. They're red-skinned Rakatans. You and your family are blue-skinned. So you know that they exist, but you have never personally seen them.
Okay.
And then the others are the ones that you know run the factory.
well, there's 3 groups of us still remaining. There's us. Hi. But
Hello.
you kind of tell which ones we are by the blue hue that we are representing, and he just kind of throws up a
Gang sign.
So do you just have like the Crips versus the Bloods going on here? The blue versus
Now-
the red?
When I saw the visions way back on Terrace, what color skin would they have been?
Red.
Red. The only other Rakatans I have seen was in a vision back on Terrace, and they were red-skinned. And then the one I saw, a green-skinned one who tried to kill me with a giant sword.
He had purple skin.
Purple. A purple-skinned one who tried to kill me with a giant sword.
Yeah, those are the two other groups there. It's very easy to distinct all of us because of our natural hues, but
Red bad, blue good.
yeah, well put, Igor. This is why he's the brains of the operation.
We're not discussing politics here tonight.
You want to try to stay away from the reds and the purples.
Okay, man.
Sorry.
So for Dantun, purple would be like foreign. Purple Rakatans don't exist, as far as he knows.
There were the green ones and the
Green, red, and blue.
blue.
Oh, okay. All right. You said a purple one?
Yes, he was very evil, and he carried this almost like a lightsaber, which I'm not sure, but it was medieval. It was an ancient sword.
There you go.
That was had a very strong energy signature that cut right through the steel, just like it was butter.
Rakatans only come in primary colors.
If it's not found in nature as a color, it's not one of the three.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, but he was real.
And so Dantun would know nothing about
Nothing.
anything about what he's saying. So this kind of just
No.
sounds like a story to him
Yes,
at this point.
Correct. Dantun is very old, but he was born after the Infinite Empire had
Yeah.
finished, and that's what the purple signifies.
Okay.
I've never seen a purple Rakatan.
What?
But
So
you haven't seen the red ones or green ones either.
well,
you
we've
just
seen the
know of
green
them.
ones, right? Yeah.
Oh. You haven't seen the red ones either. You just know of them. But you seem very nice. So... But I know you don't like technology, but I need to find technology to repair my ship so that we can leave this planet of yours.
And
You said your friends. You were heading towards where the factory was, or is that where your friends were?
is
was
that
a factory? I mean, I just saw...
No, you don't.
I
You
just
don't know.
They headed, and I would explain the direction they headed
Toward
from
the
where the
temple.
ship went. They headed towards the temple, and then I lost contact with them, and unfortunately Frank lost contact with us altogether because of that giant rancor.
He lost contact with himself.
he lost contact with his arms? Yeah. So would Dantun know about the factory that's over there?
Yes.
Or okay. So he knows it's not a temple. It's a factory.
There's
right?
a factory above the temple.
Okay.
Well, the temple and the factory are kind of they're the same. The factory is located above the temple.
The factory. What do they build at this factory?
Machines for war.
Oh, like that giant machine that I was trapped inside of?
Not to that scale.
Oh, I see. And what do they plan to do with these machines for war?
War.
Yeah.
Well, you are a
It's in the
machine
name.
for war, but
Am I a machine for war?
were you built?
You tell me. It's your character.
I was more like a private kind of
Yeah.
elite bodyguard kind of thing, not so much war.
Sure. I think at this point, one of the elders, not Dantun's dad, comes into the hut that you guys are hanging out in and says, "The council has come to a decision. We will help you find pieces to fix your ship.
That is very kind.
But only if Dantun agrees to send his friend with you.
Well, to help find the parts, I figured that he would be helping it.
Which friend?
She gestures toward Igor.
Oh, his android friend. You do not like him?
It's not a question of like. We don't trust.
The machine. I see. I
had an
believe I
accident
understand.
a while ago, so.
Did you say you had an accident?
Yeah.
What was the accident?
You need a napkin?
Did you leak some oil?
Yeah, he oiled himself.
Yeah, right onto the because there's only 10 people, so they just make one pot for dinner every day, and right into the pot, and it was a whole day's meal gone right there, the whole village. So
Yeah, I wouldn't trust you either.
A cricket startled him. He blew up a hut.
Kill it! Kill it with fire!
shh, burned down the whole forest.
Alright, so I'll let you guys think on that proposition, and we'll quickly move over to Udel, who has spent the last several hours, surprisingly a short amount of time for everything that's happened. When you agreed to this transformation process, immediately clasps came up and clamped around your wrists and ankles and neck, and you were lifted off the ground. You felt a needle inserted into your lower back, and immediately you could feel nothing, no pain, no sensation as far as touch goes, but you were still awake for the entire process. In the midst of the vast operation on your body, you felt a tingling sensation kind of in the back of your neck as some sort of cybernetic of some kind was inserted there. And just all in all, tell us about what transformation took place for your character. Because basically I said, here, Udel, change yourself. You have like these certain free things. But what did you wind up doing to Udel?
So let's cover it thematically first. Okay? Thematically, what would happen is as the injections started taking place and as the clamps were on his body, he slowly and steadily, he's wearing the visor that he was given, and he's slowly and steadily watching in awe as every one of his limbs, one by one, is removed and replaced. And they are not replaced with a flesh-style limb. They're replaced with a more gruff and almost, I'm going to say it would almost look primitive compared to how artistic some cybernetics would look. So his arms and his legs were both replaced. Now, those are a little bit stronger than what he had currently. So for those that want to know what that means mechanically, that means both of those are bronze cybernetics. Okay? Now, he also, as far as cybernetics, that's the extent of what's going to happen to his body.
Okay. So just replacing his arms and legs.
Just replacing his arms and his legs, and the visor, I'm going to say, is like permanently been mounted, so that this is no longer something that can be removed. And his initial who he was didn't change. So he is still a gambler and a chance taker at heart.
Sure.
Okay? But he kind of looked at the whole leadership side of the Politico and his background there, and he stepped away from it. He didn't want to lead. He didn't want to be the I'm going to take care of everyone. He's kind of feeling more like, if I can't take care of myself, I can't take care of anyone else. So even the bounty hunter, the assassin side of it, in
he's thematically he's not able to really move the same way that he was able to move before. So the blocks and what he would do to try and defend himself is not so much where that would be as much as he would take the I'm just going to put up an arm and take the blow kind of routine. But with that, he, in accepting this deal, he opened up something within himself that he never knew. So he mechanically has taken the force-sensitive emergent tree.
Okay.
And while this several hours of operation are going on, you'd see his body pulse, periodically and kind of thrash. And something's happening with the way that the Rakatans have kind of plugged into his nervous system to do this. And it's almost like he's been, well, for lack of better terms, downloaded a new memory.
Mm-hmm.
So he has tapped into the Force and learned some very basic powers along that side.
Okay.
Some that he is still yet to discover, and we'll kind of play that out as that goes.
All right. So when we talked, I can't remember if I said it on air or not, but when you and I talked, I said you're going to get all this stuff, and you do get to whatever experience you spent buying all of these things. You get to do that as if you had gone to a trainer.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you've done that yet, but you'll have a chance to do.
It's
those
been
things.
allocated.
Okay, cool. So alongside those things, I am creating a table of effects for you. The table goes from 1 to 100. And it's going to tally every dark side pip you roll for the rest of the game. At different junctures of this table, you're going to get benefits. In fact, one benefit you start with is going to be advanced second chances.
Advanced second chances?
I would even call it like supreme second chances.
Okay.
You get to use your second chances for any check.
That's a pretty nice buff.
It's a real nice buff. What that does for you is, yes, you get to use second chances for any check. But you have to use dark side pips if they're rolled.
So I will always have to throw a force die if I'm using
Yes.
second chances,
Correct.
regardless of force ability or not.
Correct.
Okay. You may have to
So-
remind me of that as we're going along.
I will.
I'll try.
You'll get the hang of it eventually. But basically what that does for you is, yes, you get to use second chances a whole lot. What it does for me is it increases the likelihood that you'll roll dark side points.
Come on, dice.
I didn't mean what it
Come
does for me.
on, dice.
I meant what it does for the story.
No, Percy. We get it.
I am the story.
And with that knowledge, I think we'll go ahead and close out the session, and we'll open up the next one with Udel
All right.
getting to take some action, because he's been kind of absent for 3 episodes, so I want him to be able to do some cool stuff. So with all that being said, thanks so much for listening, watching, however you're consuming our really, really great story audio. We hope that you've enjoyed yourself, and until next time, keep on adventuring.
Good night.
Bye.
everyone.